Now, Steiner was asked how to most deeply enter into a connection with the second coming of the Christ in the etheric. And he responded, living meditatively into the cycle of the year. One way to do that is to work with these daily meditations, the weekly meditations during the course of the year. The other, the most important points in that lemniscatory movement between sun and earth, which is a breathing process of earth and sun, are those 4 points related to the solstices and equinoxes. And Steiner indicated that what for the Christ being is 1 year corresponds to 1 day in the life of the human being. So we have then a microcosmic day-night rhythm and the macrocosmic Christ year rhythm that have correspondence with each other. The 5th stage of the Rosicrucian initiation involves the relationship between macrocosm and microcosm. Just like we have morning, evening, midday, and midnight, on the macrocosmic level, we have these 4 gateways related to the 4 great seasonal festivals that are gateways into the new sun mysteries that the Christ has opened up. At Christmas and the Holy Nights is a special time to get in touch with the Archangel. And so we can prepare for that each time. Like right now we're approaching Michaelmas. We can prepare for that Michaelmas gate to really make it a gate into the new mysteries. And there's geometric form that can help us to relate to this. One of them is called the squaring of the circle. So that square that encompasses the Earth, that has the same perimeter measurements as that larger circle around it. And that larger circle passes through the middle of the proportion of the moon in relation to the proportion of the earth. The New Jerusalem has 12 gates, each fashioned from a single pearl. The Easter GRAIL moon is the pearl of great price. During the present age, the Easter gateway is Aquarian Easter, Piscean GRAIL moon. There's actually 12 Easters, and each of them will give another pearl. But the hierarchies already see those 12 together. And that's the vision that John was given. The Christ will open those other gates into that future earth, the golden city. And so the New Jerusalem is related to this geometry, which was known in Egyptian times already. The Giza pyramid, the base of the Giza pyramid has these proportions where the base of the Giza pyramid has the proportion of the earth to a circle centered at the peak of that pyramid. So let's keep this in mind when we look to this building, this co-creating of the New Jerusalem, which is epitomized in this 7th seal, this GRAIL seal, a gift from the Rosicrucians. Ye are the salt of the earth, the thinking of the earth. In our own time, now in connection with the second coming of Christ, where a part of humanity is oriented to raise consciousness in such a way that the angels themselves can benefit and the elemental beings can participate. So that's co-creating the New Jerusalem. That's preparing to participate in the second coming in the etheric. That's enhancing the aura of the earth. And the primary way to do that, in order to influence the earth in its aura, is to reach the pineal gland at the center of the earth. In the etherization of the blood, he speaks of how if we turn that pineal gland into a receptive organ, then it can become a chalice that can receive the etherization of the blood that streams up from the heart to the head. And if we penetrate the mystery of Golgotha, then the etherized blood of Christ can accompany that upward stream, and it can be gathered into that pineal GRAIL vessel, and it can shine out and extend as far as the heart. In Wonders of the World lectures, Steiner speaks of how these auras around the Christ and around the saintly human beings was an expression of that aura that's centered in the pineal gland. You also see the Buddha with that kind of a aura around the head that is arising because our own ether body began to separate, expand beyond the perimeter of the head in the Greek period, and is more recently, since the 17th century, expanding in the heart. This is the basis for a new clairvoyance, a new seeing into the etheric. This is an imaginative picture consciousness behind which stands inspiration. They experience what we experience in large periods of time, seen together as a spatial image, which is kind of a leap that we need to learn to take when we enter into these mysteries. In the GRAIL mystery, time becomes space. But as was mentioned earlier, in that same etherization of the blood lectures, he says there's a macrocosmic counterpart to this that was carefully investigated by the Rosicrucians. And my thesis here is that this first GOETHEANUM, which I'm placing in the middle there, is the bridge between this microcosmic GRAIL mystery that can shine in the human head and the macrocosmic counterpart. The foundation stone, which was laid in September 20th, 1913, this dodecahedron is related to the etheric world, just like the other four Platonic solids are related to earth, air, water, and fire. And this has to do with the fifth stage of a sevenfold evolution, which is the future New Jerusalem, which has to do with the fact that when the Christ went through the mystery of Golgotha, he entered into the interior of the earth, penetrated those 9 layers that the Rosicrucians talk about, and established his throne at the center of the earth. The physical body of Jesus of Nazareth was the mediator through which the power of the cosmos were united with the earth aura. And since then, the earth has received the sun forces that laid the foundation for the earth to become a future sun, a future New Jerusalem. One is able to experience this power, this light, within oneself as a human being when one knows oneself to be part of the earth, which as Christ's physical body is infused with his being. Then the white light streams outwards from within oneself as it streams out from the center of the earth. So here is a clear expression of how the center of the earth can be related to the pineal gland. And with the second coming in the etheric, that etheric aura is expanding out around the earth, which is related to the human head. So if we think of the earth as the macrocosmic head, in order to arrive at this higher thinking, we have to raise our thinking from the physical brain to the etheric brain. This is the world we can enter through the new natural clairvoyance that is arising. We have to reach the pineal gland at the center of the earth. How do we do that? Through celebrating the 4 seasonal festival, which has to do with the same archangels who also work in this microcosmic temple. Those who participated in these rituals would build this golden triangle. And in the higher grades, there was an added filter in the north. And in the deeper mysteries, we have what's called the midnight sun. And you entered between the pillars of Yachin and Boaz. Here you have it kind of expressed with the archangels in those 4 directions. Only in that case, it's a day-night rhythm, and in this case, it's a yearly rhythm. So by participating in those 4 gateways and celebrating those 4 festivals, that circle of the seasons can become a spiral. Each year we can reach it on a higher level. And it can become community building because celebrations are meant to be community events that spiritual beings can participate in. When human beings come together to celebrate and more bring all the arts together to celebrate, which is what Rudolf Steiner had intended with the first GOETHEANUM. This is how we can build the New Jerusalem together. Architecture is an art that allows painting, music, drama, speech, eurythmy. All of these arts can be staged in such a building. And this was related to the fact that this is the house of the word, the cultivation of the logos forces in the human being. And when Rudolf Steiner was there at the podium, this micro-logos, this GRAIL sword, was active. The GRAIL sword is the word sword, unlike the Arthurian knights who had the physical sword. In the early days, Steiner worked with this ritual work, which worked with the day-night rhythm and those altars in a secret chamber. But in his later years, he gave the lectures on the 4 archangels and another one on the breathing of the earth. This has to do with these 4 gateways. And Prokofiev, for example, has written a book about the seasonal festivals as an initiation of humanity. This is how we can build the New Jerusalem together, and the angels will welcome this and draw nearer to us and be more able to give us the gift of imagination. So forging a GRAIL vessel, and that is something we can all do in little circles where we have conversation. In the Goethe's fairy tale, the snake, the old man asked, what is more precious than gold? Light. And then what is more precious than light? Conversation. So that's where the word sword, the micro-logos, the compassion, the new listening, the new speaking, where the Christ says, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I'm in their midst. If during the day we deepen our conversation with other human beings to where we deepen the listening and deepen the speaking so it could become pregnant with inspiration and the like, then the archangels can visit us in the night with inspiration. And if in those days, we learn to love other human beings and love the archangels, beings who are invisible, whether they're dead souls or souls that have ascended to higher levels like the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. Then that love for these beings can become intuition. It can build a bridge to these beings, and that can bring us in connection with the archive. So these are kind of occult tools that we can use on a daily basis to build stronger bridges to our angels, archangels, archive. At Christmas,